Good morning, everyone. So today I will be discussing 3D printed food. So firstly, what is 3D printing? 3D printing is the process of creating a three-dimensional object using digital files. Objects are created one layer at a time. Most 3D food printers use this same techniques as 3D printers by depositing food-safe 3D printer filament onto a build plate based on a model that you may have designed. If you've ever iced a cupcake using a piping bag, this is a very similar way to how 3D food printers work. So what are the steps and processes? Each 3D printer has a different set of steps that it follows, but the three basic steps are first preparing the food, the actual printing process, and then in most cases, cooking. So not all foods may be used in a printer. Foods that can be used are limited to the processes available. The most common process is material extrusion, which is very similar to FDM printing. This requires purees and mousses or other viscous foods. Most food materials will need to be prepared and then placed in the printer. A 3D printing food company called Sugar Lab uses another process called inkjet. They use another process called the inkjet process to make intricately designed sugar products and sweets. Their machine's build plate is filled with a mixture of powders, and much like a normal inkjet printer, liquid is dropped into this powder layer by layer to create their form of 3D printed food. These are a few examples of sugar and other neutral flavored products that they've made using their printer. Next is the printing process. After the food has been prepped and placed in the printer, the food design that you may have created using your design software is loaded onto the printer, and with a simple click of a button, it starts, and layer by layer, really intricate and complex designs are created. These are a few examples that I found online. The one on the top right is actually a piece of sushi made in a restaurant in Japan by a restaurant called Sushi Singularity, which is very complex, and they have many more like this. So as I said before, most printers can't cook the food during the process, but recently researchers have found ways to introduce lasers into the cooking process. Normally, these foods would be created using the printer and then put in the oven or even fried. There is a printer called the Pancake Bot, which generates the pancake using the image provided and fries during the cook time. So the only problem is that it needs to be manually operated and someone has to flip the pancake. So in general, nothing is fully automated. So there are many benefits to 3D printing food, and these are just a few. There's great potential to reduce food waste. Many foods would normally be thrown out, maybe because they're discolored or don't have the look or feel that people would want. So these can be turned into purees or pastes that can be used in the printer. Another benefit is the precision, reducibility, and personalization of food. This can be of great use in the healthcare field, where with patients that have illnesses that require strict and precise diets. There are also a lot of cruelty-free and environmentally friendly meat options. Recently, there have been cases where these printed meats actually have better These meats have comparable texture to real meat, and I think that'll be great for initiatives such as environmentally friendly food. So just as there are many benefits, there are also a lot of disadvantages to printing food. At this stage, the food that can be used is very limited to things that are viscous texture. We would not probably like a meat that's been pureed and then fried. So many of these printers also don't have a large build space. So that means that very complex and big design ideas would need to be broken down into segments and then joined later on. These machines are also very expensive and hard to get, which also impacts the batch production. It's too expensive and time consuming to use a machine that can only build one meal or item of food at a time. So these are a few resources that I used during my research, as well as a list of companies that are making huge strides in the 3D food industry.